In about 24 days from now, Americans will learn and Republicans will learn whether a decision by a bunch of Republicans, including this White House, to not spend a lot of money on stimulus because of the national deficit was a reason to put their jobs on the line and potentially not get reelected. Jerome Powell had told them for months not to do it. I had said it's economically ill advised. Other economists said, no, you need to spend a lot of stimulus on this economy to rebound it fast, otherwise, it will rebound very slowly. And they didn't listen. And ultimately, you got nothing. This is Pelosi versus Mnuchin. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Did that sound like Pelosi versus Mnuchin? I sort of like that. It's one of those days. Boy, hope you're good and safe in a day in which there's so many twists and turns, and I really appreciate you for tuning in and being part of this family. I understand it's very confusing, all these developments, and I'm trying to make it simple for you, informative, and very clear. Go to the Funnish channel, subscribe. We're trying to reach 290,000 subscribers. We're almost there. And also, like this video. In this video, I'll be going over what really went wrong for Pelosi versus Mnuchin. Because as you sit here today, as Pelosi has rejected the latest offer from Mnuchin, it doesn't look like this is ever going to happen for purposes of legislative path. And which is important for you to understand as we go into the evening is that the focus now is executive orders, but it's also for President Hunt understands that he didn't deal with the situation correctly from the beginning. All right, let me get to the breaking details. The breaking details is that Pelosi versus Mnuchin, which once died for about 4 hours on this channel because the talks were off, is effectively back dead again. Let's see how long it stays dead. So I'll have to get another show in this time slot. Pelosi and Mnuchin's negotiations are effectively dead. And to say that they're going to negotiate again at this point is sort of ridiculous because Pelosi wants 2.2. She's been at 2.2. She has not changed from 2.2 since July. And the Senate's not going to approve 2.2. So I don't know why we are even having this discussion before anymore. I don't know why the problem solvers will continue to say, let's get back to the negotiation table so Nancy can say again, give me exactly 2.2. I mean, it's just why negotiate with someone who consistently says the same number ad nauseum since the month of July. So what's important to understand is that legislatively, Pelosi versus Mnuchin is gone. It's gone. I mean, at this point, there's no more time. It's really just, I just don't see it happening. Only way it happens is someone, gives Nancy some supercuts, gift certificates, and helps her understand she needs to come down her number. Other than that, it's just never going to happen. So what you have to focus on at this point is really executive order. And the question is whether it's too late for this president to really grasp the severity of the situation. On Friday, the president said, go big or go home. The problem is that he didn't say that months ago. The problem is that he's had a party that he is the leader of, the Republican Party, who has never wanted to go big on stimulus. They've wanted to go small on stimulus or zero on stimulus. And in this video, Pelosi versus Mnuchin, I'm going over the breaking details today, which is that Senate Republicans called up the White House and said, stop going big. They literally did that today. They called up and spoke to Mark Meadows and Steve Mnuchin and said, stop this madness. You're not going over 1.8, and we're not even supporting you at 1.8. The problem as we sit here today is ultimately that Donald Trump, Steve Mnuchin, did not really understand what they really needed and where to spend the money. And as you sit here today, stimulus checks only cost $300 billion. FPC, another round, even carrying us to January, doesn't cost more than $300 billion. Okay, that's $600 billion. Steve Mnuchin didn't even have to go to $1 trillion. How about PPP? Stop with the PPP. You know what? Let's try to deal with the American people before we keep on bailing out Shake Shack and Judith Crist or whatever that place is called, and all those restaurants. How about we focus on the American people in this package, and then the next one you deal with the big businesses? You got to understand, the PPP people have had multiple rounds of PPP. How many rounds of stimulus checks have you had? Some of you have had zero because you didn't get one the first time around because you're a dependent. But at most you've gotten $1,200, and then these PPP people have had 1, 2, 3 rounds of PPP. It's a time for you to take a pause on your PPP. And so what Pelosi and Mnuchin really revealed to us was that the president understands what Jerome Powell said Friday, what I've been saying for weeks, what Jerome Powell has been saying for weeks, and what economists have been saying for weeks, which is you need to spend a lot of stimulus to rebound this economy, and the stimulus has to go to the American person. It does not go to state and local. It does not go to salary raises. It does not go to, the post office. It goes to people who lost their jobs. It goes to people who can't pay their rent. And ultimately, people should have been getting stimulus checks all along. The first stimulus package was to give you a stimulus check every month for 6 months or until the pandemic improved. If you watched Purple Power last night, I brought back my very first day's recording on April 25th. There were four recordings that day, I think it was, and one of them I said to you the details of that pending Harris, Sanders, Senate Democratic bill. $2,000 a month for every month for 6 months until the pandemic improves, until unemployment goes down. Guess what? This president wanted to go narrow. Mitch McConnell didn't want to pay anything. Senate Republicans, 20 of them didn't want to give you anything. And with the president as the leader of the Republican Party, as the president who designated a cabinet member to negotiate on behalf of a Senate bill, when he's not a senator, Steve Mnuchin is not a senator. He's not a House representative. Negotiate on behalf of people he's not working with. In fact, Steve Mnuchin has never been in the federal government before. He's a person from Wall Street. So he's an outsider negotiating for people in Congress that are supposed to be doing this. Ultimately, the president didn't do this correctly. And now, as we sit here tonight, the question is whether he can catch up fast enough. There's some comments that I've seen in the last 24 hours where people say, well, it's not the job of the president to do stimulus relief. It is not the jobs of the president, but this president made it his job. Understand, the president is in the executive branch. The executive branch is not the legislative branch. The legislative branch is the Congress. But what the president decided for the second stimulus package only, this one, was that he was going to remove people who would normally be doing this, members of Congress, and that he would insert a cabinet member, Steve Mnuchin, to be the single voice for the entire Republican Party, and that Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, would be the single voice for the entire party, entire structure of the congressional building on behalf of the Democrats. That is the craziest decision. I don't know where it came from. I wish I did. It predates this channel, but that ultimately is what imploded everything. Because you had an outsider in Steve Mnuchin who people generally respect but don't know. All the reports in recent days said, why did President Trump now appoint Steve Mnuchin to this? Steve Mnuchin did not singularly get your first stimulus package. That's a false narrative. Steve Mnuchin was one of many, 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 many people who were working on the first stimulus package. They were in the Congress, they were in the House and the Senate, they were in the cabinet. There were a lot of people involved. It was not just Steve Mnuchin. That's a false narrative that some, New York news reporters want to make it sound like this glowing deity got everything done. It was not true. And Nancy Pelosi was not the single voice negotiating either. There was a lot of people involved. They were very well breast. This time around, they brought an outsider to negotiate for people who are elected to do exactly this. This is their job. They're elected to do exactly this. They have subcommittees that look at numbers. And ultimately imploded. As we sit here tonight, there's only one path for this president, that's executive orders. And he needs to understand very quickly, right tonight, that executive orders need to be done because when the people go into the polling place, they're going to see no stimulus check in their hand, no hazard pay in their hand, no rent, no FPUC, And guess what they're going to think? That's ultimately for you to decide. Here's some of your questions from last night, and they were very good. Patricia Horn, Mr. Donald Trump, executive orders, please. Patricia Countryman, there's two Patricias right next to each other. Nancy should realize it's better to think that everyone believes she's crazy than to speak and remove all doubt. Sandra D. Leonard, karma's coming around to bite all us politicians up and helping the country. We're hurting. Amen. It's Bjorn. Nancy has no intention of doing a deal with Trump. Well, this is a comment 19 hours ago. So, Bjorn, 1 point for you. You got it right. Linda Blevins, she shouldn't be in office because she's not fit to be Speaker of the House. Mary Jean Posse, my gosh, Nancy's crazy. She's calling the president Tracy. That's like the pot calling the kettle black. Michael Abera, they may actually be for Biden's age. Words as Kamala is going to be the one Pelosi wants in the chair. I don't know what that means. Teresa, I don't trust Steve at all, and Nancy needs a straight jacket. Well, Steve has never given us his numbers, so that's been a real mystery. Michael, I've been saying all along that Nancy Pelosi doesn't want a deal. Patty, the Democrats need to demote her. Barbara, bottom line is they're getting their checks, and they're only concerned about themselves. Lacey, vote them all out. Denise, McCarthy is going after her. Margie, Nancy's Speaker of the House, all right. That nut house, she should get her job. God, the nut house. Rob, Trump's doctors will clear tomorrow, so it'll be a great time for executive orders. Okay, let's do it. So Braham Gunn, she's going to find every possible thing to distract us from negotiations. No, she just called them off today. Powerful mind, Trump, just send them money already. Barbara, this is so draining. Eye on you. We should be talking about our third or fourth stimulus check now. Yes, or sixth or seventh. I love that comment. Thank you. I see you. Thank you for a great comment. Maxine, Pelosi was never going to help the American people. Patricia Wright, Trump should just do the executive order. That will make her mad. It would. Patricia Horn. Boy, there's a lot of Patricias in this channel. If she would spend more time on helping the people and less being scandal planning, we would have had money a long time ago. I love that scandal planning. She does scandal plan. There'll be another scandal next week, guaranteed. Go to the front of the channel, subscribe, because boy, this is a day in which there's a lot. There's a lot, and I'm glad that you are so informed because of this channel. It really is reassuring. Also, like this video. Coming up next is Evenings LA. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay FLA for more.